Yo, just gonna say this before we start the episode. We recorded this over a year and a half ago, so obviously this is way before any of this, the Diddy allegations and everything happened, which we don't condone. But I love him as a creative, so I'm gonna play this episode right now. Just putting that out there for context. All right, let's get into the episode. Peace.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you know what time it is. Kaito's in the house. This is first and foremost. This is season 2, right? You're probably gonna be the only repeat guest on season 2, and it's cause our first one, part 1. You know, your story so far up to that point was one of my favorite episodes to reflect on, because the story was so fucking gassed, and like the come up and all that shit, and just your progression was so cool. And that was probably 2018 when we did that.
Yeah, 2018, 2019.
And now, bro, your fucking shit has, like, you catapulted from there. So I was like, yeah, I hit you. And we talked about it before. I think even during the pandemic, we talked about like trying to talk more about whatever, but you've always been so open and down. So I had to get you on the show. So thank you, bro.
No, thank you.
No, thank you for doing this shit.
Thank you.
I'm pumped.
You see this place?
Yeah, we upgraded. If you go back to part 1, we were sitting on a couch at Andrew Sandler's house. The framing was all shitty. I think one of the cameras died. And now we got a legit studio. And my boy is fly as fuck over here, dressed to impress, ready to do an interview.
Let's go.
How you been, bro? You been good?
Good.
What's
relaxing and working at the same time, better at balancing life. And yeah, I've been great.
You feel like you've gotten better at it?
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you feel like you've done more recently that you've been working into, like, finding the balance?
Just being able to like chill and tell myself like I'm gonna work now or not work now.
Take time off and shit?
Just take time off, just watch TV or take my dog to the park.
Hell yeah.
And just like enjoy life.
The thing that I love the most about part 1, reflecting on it, which is so weird to like reflect on that. I felt like it was yesterday. You know what I mean? It's crazy. That was so many years ago.
Yeah, for sure.
And I get talked to about is the Diddy moment on the beach. Like that moment in the podcast where he told you the shit, where he put his hand on your shoulder or whatever. Remember, what did he say? He's like, you want to see the world?
Yeah, travel the world. And
travel the world.
See things you've never seen before.
Yeah. All that shit. That was like the funniest shit, and also just the most like iconic LA moment type shit. You know what I mean? Like, because you're East Coast. Coming out here, getting that shot, and then being able to like build from there. And obviously it was so crazy what you were able to do at that moment, but like so much has happened since then. I was like, yo, I feel like we just should dive into it, like kind of just catch us up to like what's been going on with the shit and like where you've grown, because I feel like what I noticed is you get this insane cosign from Diddy to be Diddy's guy, right? So you did all kinds of shit with Diddy, and then what Diddy did, which I think is really cool and what's special for you, is he opened up a window for you to excel beyond Diddy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like to allow you to start directing, to allow you to start doing like these massive photo spreads and like have access to brands and build those relationships to other talent and so on and so forth, which I feel like is interesting because some artists, I know a few artists, I remember one photographer was telling me that like his artists never would tag him because he was afraid other people would take him. Like he didn't want to lose this person, so he would never credit that person. So that person couldn't really truly grow. And I think that's what's so special about your relationship with Puff and like being able to like expand beyond that. But I don't know. Do you feel like that's true or not?
Yeah, I think, well, how I see it is he's like the ultimate coach, you know, and he, you know, just gives opportunities and lets people, he lets people almost prove themselves into like, you know, do you want it this bad? And I was just one of those people that really wanted it and still do want it, in multiple different things, scenarios. Like I want to create the best work that I possibly can. I want to document the best. I always have like a bar that I set for myself of like what I expect, and so does he. So, you know, two people working together that have high expectations, I think, you know, you can only create like the best, and you can only expect the other person to be their greatest self. And anytime we were together, I expected him to look his best and he expected me to create my best. And we did that for so many years. to where now, you know, I still work with him all the time.
Yeah.
Still go to his house, hang out. But now, you know, he wanted to see me just like really crush it.
Which is like so selfless, you know what I mean? For him to allow,
Mm-hmm.
but also kind of trusted that you were going to help. You've helped him build like a team of people too that can work around him so that you can be absent for a certain, like maybe you're on another job where he might want you. He would ideally have you around, but he understands that you're spreading your wings. You know what I mean?
Literally, that was the message, you know, when it was the time, it was the time. And we both understood that in a sense. So, you know, I mean, we're still like family, and we always like, I just did a shoot for them like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So it's nothing like more than just like bossing up. Like he wanted me to just boss up.
Which I feel like that's his whole fucking mentality in life. You know what I mean? So
Literally.
like if you're not catching that wave at all around him, then maybe you're not cut out for the, you know, the pack. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that him teeing you up, like I feel like when we ended, you had started doing like the Ciroc ads.
Yeah.
Right. So I guess from photography, having that access, kind of growing your own shit and like really starting to get your groove and like find your look and style, everything. What was it for you that kind of pivoted into wanting to direct like motion? You know what I mean?
Just, I mean, being inspired. You know, I had got the opportunity to shoot a few Ciroc commercials, and I just took it and did my best at it. And you know, I think all like even motion is still photography. You still have the photography aspect to it, the you know, that creative cinematic approach, and it's, you know, it's, you're still directing while you're shooting photographs, I think.
Yeah.
So I don't know, it was just cool. I like it. I enjoy it. I don't enjoy it as much as photography. I think like photography is definitely like
Your main space.
my baby.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I just dibble and dabble back and forth between what I'm inspired by. Like sometimes I'll dive more into like directing and getting inspired, looking at Vimeo, looking at different films, and then other times I'll study different, you know, photographers that are from past time and now. So it just really depends. Like, and it'll be like a month gap. Like 1 month I'll be focused solely on watching films. 1 month I'll be solely on looking at the newest editorial or just like studying older photographers.
Do you feel like were you starting to communicate that at that point in time, where you kind of trying to say like, yo, you know, because I would assume at this point Diddy's he's been in the game for so long, he's probably had like agencies, people, directors that he go to for different things like that. That's his brand, Ciroc. You know what I mean? Like he has skin in the game. So were you already like advocating that you wanted to like shoot more, like that you were like interested in doing some of those, like directing some of those jobs, or like how did that conversation come up for you to be able to enter it? Like obviously you do a great job at it and you had the eye for it, but like had you really directed anything like that before that moment to do like like an actual commercial?
Yeah, I mean, with him I shot every single day,
right?
And I think he just could tell through like how I captured him and how I captured and told stories. I think that was his main thing, was just making sure that you're a great storyteller no matter what it is, whether, you know, we're shooting in the backyard or we're shooting out at the Oscars. It didn't matter what it was, is can you story tell through these photos? Can you story tell with documentation, you know, through video? And in like being the greatest cinematographer in one camera with a full room of people, how do you tell that story? You know, how do you tell this? What's the story for tonight? He would always ask me, how are you going to tell this story? And what's the cinematic language? And I didn't take it lightly. Like I would even go and like look up different what's cinematic language, you know, like understanding like, what that was just as important to me as making a good video.
Was he being serious? Like, was he literally asking, like, what is the play?
Yeah. What is the story? Like, how are you telling the story in this, whether it's a recap or whether you're documenting, you know, the most insane thing in my life.
That's so dope to have, like, for him to have the interest, like him to care enough about whatever is going to be captured that much to be pushing you to be like, yo, treat this like a production job, like where you're going to come in with some sort of treatment, like to be able to be having foresight, even if it is a recap or even if it is just a party, like how can we make this party be explained to people who weren't here differently than any typical one, and that kind of raises the bar on how you guys did that, because I feel like you guys started turning up the knob on like what or not recaps, but just like experiences were like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I mean, that's all him, you know, like,
yeah,
he really just is different.
But do you also think that comes from you trying to push like some of your goals into some of that shit too?
Yeah, for sure. I think you know, I always have a goal is to just be my best, and like, you know, if doesn't matter what it is, what situation, I'm gonna outperform myself or anybody in the room.
Right.
Like, I'm gonna capture the best moments. If I'm at a party, it doesn't matter who's there, what big photographer is there, I'm gonna just focus on like what I want to capture. If I'm on stage, if I'm like, I don't care. Like, I'm just gonna document this the best.
Right. When you did you did Vanity Fair for his thing, was that 2 different shoots that you guys did at his like parties? It was like in the party, but this is where I thought shit was really cool, because you did like a series of photos with guests. Was the first time for his 50th? So it's Puff's 50th birthday party.
Yeah, the Diddy 50.
The Diddy 50.
Yeah,
that's tight name. And then but you did like a legitimate like look, like you made it into a full-on photo shoot where I'm assuming you dedicated space to it. You guys set dressed and like made it look like a whole vibe, and then coordinated maybe with the talent, or were you just pulling talent off? I'm trying to paint the picture for anyone who hasn't seen it before, but it's like gorgeous photos of all these A-list celebrities that would come through, but you shot it like as if they knew they were coming to like a magazine cover shoot.
Yeah, they didn't know.
They didn't know.
Yeah, so basically, you know, we had plugged that whole play. You know, Puff's team had plugged this play with Vanity Fair, and they wanted, you know, they had this idea, and they pitched this idea to have me photograph like almost these like portraits, like these super high-end portraits,
like high-end, bro. Like this, like I'm saying, I've never seen anyone at a party. Now everyone's doing it. Like everyone's trying to coordinate so that they have something semi close to this, but high-end shit was sick.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
It was really cool.
So yeah, basically, to paint the picture, you know, you'd walk into his house, and immediately to your right there'd be this long hallway, and we call it the White House. So like, imagine a White House, the pillars, and you just walk down this long hallway, just candlelit, and when you come in, it's just me there in his living room.
Like, hey, where's the fucking party?
No, it's just me there, super just like ready, just ready to take a picture. And we had literally like a minute. We had a minute to like
each person.
Each person had only 1 minute, right? It would be Kim Kardashian, Kanye West would come in.
Out of courtesy, or like their team was like, hey, you have 1 minute.
So they had pulled like certain people that you know, obviously that they really wanted. So when they pulled those people, it'd be like, all right, Kanye West, Kim Kardashian. I would already have like a pose in mind.
Right.
Like the environment was interchangeable. So we had different couches, different chairs, whatever it was, like in a corner.
Oh,
and
dope.
they were like, you know, V flats would cover them, so it just looked very clean and like easy.
Yeah.
So when they came in, I would be like, get that chair, get that, and put it right there. Boom. 30 seconds later, we just start snapping. Thank you very much. Have a good night. Have a good time, and out. And right immediately after, Kobe and Vanessa would walk in, or whoever, Chadwick, you know, doesn't Lizzo or somebody.
Right.
And you know, it was very cool. It was like the most intense shoot that I had done at the time. So like my energy was just on like 10,000, like in excitement, but also like nervous, but also like not knowing who's coming behind those curtains next. Like that, like it was just like that. I was just so busy that every other 2 minutes, it was just somebody else. I would have to think of a pose and think of the light, even the lighting, like just very slight bits of like lighting changes.
So when the person walked into the room, that's when you chose like, oh, they need to sit on a couch, or did you already like reset furniture? You would just guess based upon
just
like
on the
who
spot.
the person was.
I would look, it'd be literally like I'm looking across the room, and I just finished taking these pictures. I say goodbye. I would look across the room. It'd be another celebrity or, you know, a guest.
Yeah.
And I would welcome them in. And as I'm greeting them, I'm thinking of what is it that I'm shooting.
Right, because someone might have a huge flowy dress and shit.
Like I kid you not, like they're walking to me and I'm literally like my head is spinning on what I'm doing.
Right.
So
did you? Okay, so how did that like? Because I do feel like I remember that moment being like that was huge for you. You know what I mean? Like as a fan, as a friend, like I was watching you have that moment and how much shit was coming out of it, how insane it looked, and I was like in awe of the work. But there's so much like energy that had to go into prepping for that, you know, to like think of that. So like, how did the concept of that idea come between y'all, Vanity Fair, like using his house as like a photo shoot space, but also, or wherever you guys had the party at, that type of shit? Like, how did that idea kind of like, you know, snowball?
Yeah. I mean, it came from like Natalie Puff's press person, PR, and Vanity Fair. They just kind of had this idea to create this photo studio in the house, and you know, loosely kind of based on what they do at the Oscars.
Right, that's what
Mark
I was
Seliger,
say.
like Mark Seliger has done similar things, like very similar things, like in the past. So like, you know, inspiration came from that. Annie Leibovitz, you know, just different places that, you know, we pulled inspo from. So, you know, it's kind of been done before, but, you know, I think how we approached it and like the moment as well as the people that were there for just one person. It wasn't the Oscars.
Right.
It was like a guy's party.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's just different.
But
like,
also the guy is
in his
the
house,
guy. It's the guy. So like the ability to like the star power that you were able to capture, because he's just gonna be like, yo, go take the photo, Kevin Hart. You know what I mean? And then Kevin will probably come, sit down wherever you tell him to do, pose, and it wasn't like, it didn't seem like it was
it felt bigger than the Oscars,
bro. Yeah, because the
That's-
access, like the access of that, you know, that's just like unheard of, to have that access, that timing, the amount of energy, and then for you to be on your shit, to be able to know like, all right, shaking hands, boom, 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 them to give you the time of day to like make those shifts happen, and then set for it. How big was like your team like on that shit?
I would say about 7-8 people, maybe.
That
yeah,
you,
7-8 people.
Are those people that you would
Like
work
lighting,
with?
and you know, we had an editor on site.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
For what? Like to get
just
them out quick?
retouching.
Just
yeah,
for social.
yeah.
Because were you guys uploading in real time?
Upload, yeah.
Oh shit.
There was about like 8 or 10 posts like that night.
Did Vanity run like a thing about it? Was that like a spread that they ended up
They
doing
were posting
after?
live.
Oh, so it was them posting.
Mhm.
Oh, got you. Man, that shit was so cool, bro. I remember seeing that. I was just like, damn, this is like another level.
It's pretty tight.
They for you, you know, and also, I don't know, correct me, like I'm just going through like I was like, let me just remember like some key moments of shit that you've done since then. But if you want to talk about anything else around this period of time, feel free to take over.
Yeah.
But I do feel like seeing that open up doors, I mean, bro, like that's a massive, it's Vanity fucking Fair, bro.
Yeah.
That's tight as shit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because at that time, how old were you at that point?
I don't know, 20 or something.
That's fucking crazy,
Yeah.
bro. Like, think about how crazy that shit is. And then to know, like, you know, you can parlay that into any direction you want to go. Like, from that moment, do you remember, like, what you were thinking, like, after you did that shoot? Obviously, you're probably spent mentally finishing it. But, like, as days went on where everyone was reposting those images, like, everybody, like, that was, like, the talk of the shit, you know, was Diddy's 50 shit. Did that, like, give you kind of, like, drive or like amp you up in a way that you hadn't thought about before? Like, I'm sure leading up to it, you're probably like, oh, this is gonna be sick or whatever, and like you were dealing with the challenge. But I don't know, did you realize like the doors or opportunities that could open from that?
Not as much as like how much I cared about how like amazing the pictures looked.
Yeah.
I think I was more hyped on how like great the photos came out.
Yeah.
More than like the hype that came with it.
Right.
Yeah, I've been always like that, kind of just like, you know, it's a great opportunity, but I'm always like just always pushing on like what the image like just comes out like, because that's what like I mean, looking back now at 25, like I can, you know, it's a testimony almost in this like short amount of time to like say that I finally figured out, you know, why I was fulfilled. It's because of how amazing the pictures came out. I didn't really care as much. Like at some point throughout that whole time, like there were images that I didn't put out of huge people because I didn't like the picture as much.
Right.
So like, you know, what I did put out or what came out was like what fulfilled me. So, and to this day now, like, you know, I can shoot whoever it is for whatever magazine it is, but I always just care about like what it looks like.
Right. Yeah. Because it's the quality factor that you're going after, and it's crazy too because I feel like so many creative people, bro. Do you know how many? It's always bums me out when I see people fire off shots of like some artists. They'll be at a festival and fucking Rihanna walks in, they fire off a shitty photo or something like, and you're just like, everyone's taking the same shit because she's in the pit. You know what I mean? Like Rolling Loud or fucking any festival, and like the photo won't be that great, but it's the fact that someone's by a star, so they like share that shit out, which I feel like it takes like, you of course want someone back home to see that you were next to whoever or whatever, you know, but at the same time there's a level up factor where if you keep that shit for the archives or whatever you need, but only put out the fire shit, like that's where the elevation happens.
Yeah, I would say in like an optimistic way, like of like giving advice to like just maybe creatives. Like we've all been there, kind of like, you know, been there, done that moment of like shooting somebody, especially in LA. Like you know, you have your camera on you, you're shooting an event or something, and like Kanye walks in or Rihanna walks in or Beyonce walks in. Like you kind of have to decide, you know, what am I going to do with this?
Yeah.
And you know, it's just always best to like, if they don't look as good as like you imagine, like just hold it.
Yeah.
Just hold it, because
they'll walk in again. You
know, depending on like, I think that it just depends on like what you want your legacy to be or your career, or, you know, just hold it. You don't got to put like that. You don't got to put it out for the clout or anything.
Yeah. Do you feel like you've always had that insight?
Yeah,
you feel
for
like you've
sure.
Always
I mean, there's been like images, I have thousands of pictures that I haven't put out because, you know, just they didn't look their best, or it could have just been like I was out with Puff when we was at an event and I snapped a photo of them, but like if they don't look their best, then I'm not gonna do it. But what has worked is when I do capture them, and I always try to capture them in their best like moment, but I'm not just picking a photo and uploading it. I'm taking that night, I'm curating, I'm gonna say, does this make the cut of the story? Like, do they look great? Like times where we were in Italy and I shot like Kris Jenner, Corey Gambles, and I loved the picture, edited it, you know, the next day or so and sent it to Chris, and she loved the photo, she posted it. But like if it was something that I knew she wasn't gonna like I wouldn't have just posted it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, right. Let them take the lead too.
Yeah, just kind of let them take the lead. Don't get so as excited.
Which I feel like is why people could trust you more. Like when they are around people, especially when you're somebody's person, like especially back like when you were constantly with Puff, it's like the other people that he interacts with get to know the crew. Like just naturally, you always end up knowing the crew. You end up knowing the assistants and all that shit, right? So, being able to know when they walk in a room that they don't have to be fucking acting.
Exactly.
They don't have to play their character in like behind closed doors, even if the camera's on, because they know like you're only looking out for their best interest as well as, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
they don't have to be worried. Like, you know, there's so many, like I'm a good people watcher and observer, like of a room. Like I'll read the room and see what place I'm going to go to like capture a moment. And it's just so nice to be greeted by, you know, these people, and like for them to know like, oh, I want him to take the picture.
Right.
Like, oh, Kaito, come here.
Yeah,
let's go.
Yeah, I know. That's pretty tight.
That's like, and it's just through like, you know, being in those rooms over and over and over again to just make sure that everybody looks their best.
Right. Well, and the truth is like you're in those rooms often enough that you have more than one shot to get the thing, right? So if you get something the first time, you're like, that ain't the best one. I'm gonna hold on to that shit. And then a couple weeks later, you're in that same room again. You get it in the perfect light, or you get it in the perfect form, or whatever you were looking for. It was worth the wait. Versus some people get so anxious and shit, and they're like, "Oh my god, like that was incredible. I gotta share this shit out." And then they do, but they're like you said, if they would just wait a little longer, if they could push themselves to be in the room again, you know what I mean? You could find gold, which is, it's I get it. It's a challenge for people to like.
It just comes with expectation. Like, what do you expect from yourself? You know, for me, it's a long game, so I'm not just playing it for right now.
Right.
I'm just like long game.
You had a shot too with was that the same night that you had Jay? It was like Jay and Puff sitting together on the couch, and you had written like on your Instagram, you had wrote a caption. I was like, I waited for this one moment all night. Or was was that another party that you guys did? Because did you do 2 Vanity Fair things? Was there another one later?
No, yeah, there was like for the cover.
Was there a cover?
I shot a cover for Puff for Vanity Fair,
But
and
it's
then there
just
was a
him, not a
Diddy
party.
50.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Diddy
yeah.
50 was like star studded.
Mhm.
Puff was Puff.
Yeah.
For Diddy 50, you had one like of Jay and him.
Puff, yeah.
Yeah, but you said you were waiting all night for that. So like you knew that was probably a great shot that you would have been able to get. What did you plan? Did you know how you'd want to pose them or how they'd be? Because that shit looks so like.
I mean, I don't know. I thought maybe Jay and Beyonce would be together,
Right.
and then like after I heard like 5 minutes later, I knew I'd get Jay at some point, whether it was with Puff or by himself. So I was excited to shoot him, and I knew I had to get Puff at some point.
Right.
So that was like the last picture I think we took
Oh,
at
really?
the night. Yeah, it was like they were the very last people
That's crazy.
because they just came in from the party.
Yeah.
Everybody that we shot went into the party.
Yeah.
So they were on their way out when we got that. Like Jay and Beyonce were on their way out.
Right.
So that was just like, they could have came in sweaty. Like,
yeah. Bad news.
But I was waiting for both of them all night.
Right.
So it was just bound to happen that they would come in together.
Yeah, that's dope. They seeing like it's crazy too because you had like the Kobe and Vanessa shot,
Mm-hmm.
which that was like very close. That was like a month. Was that a month before he passed?
Not sure. Yeah, I think
was like
a
close
few
to
weeks
it,
before,
which is
maybe.
pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And Chadwick and who else was in? I'm trying to remember, but it's just crazy the amount of people that you covered that night, and just everything looked different, and stylistically it was just beautiful. Anyway, it was gorgeous.
Yeah.
Then you get to go on and you do this whole. What I think is cool is like, you lay the groundwork on that one, and you're getting these really unique portraits at an event, right? But then Call of Duty comes along, right? So you bring that same style to like a campaign. You're working with oh shit, my computer's going crazy. Gibson, right? So you and Gibson collabed on that. Can you walk me through that process?
Yeah, so Gibson was directing this commercial for Call of Duty, and he just hit me one day and he was like, yo, I have this idea. We should do a portrait setup like how you did for Vanity Fair.
Right.
And I was like, yo, I'm with it. Like, let's do it. He's the ultimate GOAT. So, of course, I'm going to say yeah. And we just set up this shoot, kind of this backdrop setup right next to the set, and minimal crew, great talent that was there on the shoot. And then we went to Paris and London and finished it up over there. It was pretty crazy.
Wait, the rest of the shoot finished overseas?
Mm-hmm.
So it was in one day?
No, it was like 3 days in LA and then 2 days in like London.
Shit, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you like, I guess when it comes to like prepping like your production team, how are you going about doing that? Like who are your people? Are the people you work with often? Are you working with the agencies or anything like that to like get your crew?
Yeah, so it's small team in terms of like creative. It really just comes from like the agency or whoever I'm working with. We have an idea. What do you think? I'll take it and kind of sit on it, think, how can I make this better? And then I'll bring in some help. Like, I work with Pierre York, who's he's a creative director, and we kind of collaborate on like what could be cool.
Right.
And I'll talk to Dave, my manager, and just try to make the best. And then from there, like, I'll talk to, like, I'm very like close with like the like a first assistant who's like in charge of like the lighting and stuff like that, and making sure that like I'm super on top of like what can we do, or pulling inspo, like just trying to like really do what like I really want to do.
Right. And like also working within the boundaries or the confines of whatever you're given.
Exactly.
Right?
Tirelessly trying to like make it the best, or overshoot, or not overshoot, but like just not I don't stop thinking until like I'm on the shoot.
Yeah.
You know.
How I was just gonna ask, like, what kind of like what's your thought process? I know what it's like when I'm working on large campaigns or fat budgets and chaos and shit. What's it like for you when you are preparing for those to make sure that you're getting the right coverage that you want, but also to like see your vision through? Like, how much time from the point the client, like Gibson says, like, yo, let's collaborate. This is what was he sharing his vision of like, this is what I'm going to do for the video? Like, what could we do coincide for that?
Yeah. So like, I mean, you know, just pull up, see what the treatment looks like. And I'll just run off and be like, okay, well, this is the backdrop. Or I'll look at different websites. Like, I want this backdrop. I'll put inspo for like lighting, and then just making sure that it kind of fits in theme.
Yeah.
But like also like, what do I want it to look like? Do I want harsh shadows? Do I want soft lighting? Do I want backlight? Do I want mostly front light? Do I want hair light? Do I want, you know, like what is it that I want it to feel and look like? All those little decisions, like just a little decision of like a backlight, hair light, versus just, you know, just a key light or something.
But would you like work with the set design? Who's doing that? Are you?
I mean, for that project, there was no like set design.
There wasn't?
No,
Wasn't it like
no.
what was it? It was like, or maybe it was like props and shit. Cause like, wasn't it like Pete
For
Davidson
photos?
Pete Davidson holding like the grenade, and for some reason I was thinking
that was like the
Army mesh and
second
shit.
round of the
that
Call
was
of
the
Duty.
second one.
So yeah, so the first one was like Thug, Gunna, Saweetie.
Yeah.
That was like year one,
Right.
And that was like Gibson was directing.
Sorry, my
that.
bad. My boy did 2 of these.
Nah, yeah, 2.
3. This
I don't
comes
know.
out in 2023.
Let me go year by year, and then we'll see.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. I think,
I know.
but I know. All right, so
Yeah,
year
Sweetie.
one,
I remember. All right, cool. Yeah,
year
correct.
one, it was Saweetie, Gunna, Thug. Gibson had called me. It was like, let's try this out. He really like had the idea to start this. He paid for it out his pocket. Not gonna lie.
What?